dang, I forgot. I was gonna be ghetto and bring my strobe light in the car. So y'all can see me.
Anyway, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Real Men.
We here. We in the
we
building. We
we
already
here.
started.
We here. We all boots on the ground, wheels on the ground, still here, man. Special guest Charlie Davis, my brother from another mother. Speaking of another
Hey.
mother, I saw your mom yesterday, man. Did she tell me? Did she tell you?
No, I haven't talked to her since Mother's Day, so I gave her, yesterday to get into the Monday, but no, she didn't tell me she saw me.
Yeah, I took my daughter she's going to the fifth grade, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, she's going to the intermediate school where we went to middle school.
Mhm.
So she went through the lines and all that, and I had my mask on and said McGlon. She knows me,
Mhm.
but you can't see your face and stuff.
Right.
So which McGlon are you? I was like, Josh. She was like, oh yeah, it's Miss Davis, Charlie's mom. I
Yeah.
was like, of course. I knew who she was. I could tell, but
Right.
I didn't want to be weird or anything. But
No,
yeah,
it's
and I was like, yeah, Charlie's actually coming on the show tomorrow. It's pretty crazy. But
yeah.
she got I introduced her to my daughter and stuff, and sometimes it's embarrassing to her. But I was like, man, it's good to know people.
Yeah.
I don't know any
No.
of those other people. They look like they're probably younger than me teaching.
Right. And I mean, man, there's just not as much of an Oxford connection from when we were there. Unless like we got, like Chris, or is it Chris or Chad that's teaching? Well, Chris
Chris
Cutcliffe
Bush
or
is the
Chris Bush or
assistant
Chad.
principal at the high school.
Okay. Wait, who's the assistant principal?
Chris Bush, like
Oh
I ran
man.
track. I ran track. Yeah. He used to be the track.
That's
He used to be
awesome.
the head track coach for the boys
Okay,
and girls.
yeah.
They won a couple of state championships, and he actually trains my daughter in track.
Oh, nice, nice. All
Yeah, so,
right.
he's a beast in track, but he's also assistant principal at the high school.
I think my mom told me that.
Yeah,
I've just been busy down here in New Orleans and
disconnected a little bit, but
going
it's
through a
it's
pandemic,
it's not as Oxford disconnected as you think. So
Right.
he is the assistant principal, been there since Bradley Robertson was the high school principal.
Right.
He
Right.
knew that, but he's now the next superintendent of education for Oxford School District, which is pretty
Yeah.
crazy. And he was a coach when we were playing football.
Right. That's awesome, and it's crazy to just kind of see everyone grow, even the adults.
Yep, yep,
Like when we were like, it's just like, oh yeah, adults can grow too, I guess.
yeah, that's true. Because now that we're adults, we like we we like to think that we grow every day, and I try to grow as best I can.
hmm I
But
just, I just, oh, there goes a technology device. Sorry about that.
speaking of,
I just try not to grow like in a waist size, man.
that's right, that's
That's
right.
the thing.
Yeah, as you know, we start every show with how was your day? How was your week? Anything interesting or good happened to you? So I'm gonna let you start first and say the best for last with Big Steady.
Oh man. Well, hey, thanks for having me on.
Oh, for sure.
I've been keeping up with the show down here in New Orleans, and also it's just good to see old childhood friends and high school friends, people I've known pretty much my whole life. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Um, Man, my day was pretty decent. So normal times, I'm an actor and comedian, and I travel a good bit, and I'm also was a tour guide in the French Quarter in between acting gigs and singing gigs. Um,
That
so
sounds,
I've been working. What's that?
that sounds interesting. The tour guide, I could just see you being a tour guide at the French
Man,
Quarter.
I'm just like a big nerd that knows too much, and it's a perfect
Yeah,
job.
and
But
entertaining to top it all.
oh yeah, man. I mean, for when you have a lull in, either a show or a stand-up gig or something, that kind of does take press. You get to kind of substitute that a little bit.
Side
But
hustle,
I've been when because all that got shut down during the pandemic.
right?
I've been working behind the scenes on film production, and so was very lucky to recently have worked. Can't talk too much about it because NDAs and all that jazz, and but a project produced by Will Smith and Jay-Z over in the Delta, basically the Mamie Till project. It's called Women of the Movement. So was lucky to do that. And then now I'm working for the Disney Channel. Anyways, long story short.
You ran into my cousin down at the Delta.
Yeah, no, I actually worked with Terry. Yes, I worked with your cousin, Josh.
He was up here like a week or so.
On Women of the Movement. What's that?
He was up here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, man.
A little bit.
It was cool when he overheard I was telling someone I'm from Oxford, because I always do that, I guess. I'm like, oh, I'm from Oxford. He was like, oh, do you know Josh McClellan? I was like, absolutely. Like, well, you're ahead of me. I've known Josh my whole life. And it was a fast friendship with your cousin. And, it was like, oh, cool. It's cool. It's cool to know that it's a small world.
That's right.
Anyways, it was lucky to work with him on that. Right now I'm working on a pilot for the Disney Channel, just doing COVID compliant stuff. And it's a pretty good day. I will say it is frustrating. I mean, we've all been through this pandemic. Like, we're all going through it.
Right.
A friend of mine who I knew in Chicago, who's no longer on this earth with us, gave me like this motto that says, it takes so much energy to be an asshole. Can I cuss on this show? Okay, cool. Real man, real talk.
I just clicked the little button on YouTube saying there's.
Oh, nice. All right, cool. Get the bleep in there. I don't know, man. But no, I was hearing, he was telling me that it takes a lot of energy to be an asshole. And that's, that's very true. And today, we just have people that are kind of tired with the pandemic. They don't want to wear their masks around other people. And yeah, mostly everyone's vaccinated. Yeah, this, virus is going down. Oh, but just if what makes you more special than me to where you don't have to wear a mask, but I do. Right. And so just dealing with some very high paid people that, kind of just think they're exempt because they get a lot of money to either hold a camera or say cut or action, Anyways, I'm not going to get myself fired. How was everyone else?
Real man. Throw me under the bus.
Yeah.
I don't work for them. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, man. What you got, Big Steady? I'm a reserve my good day. I had, the day was pretty good. Whatever it is. Well, how was your day, sir?
My day was great, even though I went through so much. But the fact that we're on Real Talk and Real Men, I can give you like a little rundown.
Real Talk.
I've been in garbage juice. I've been almost hit twice. I've been flipped off because the truck quit on me. But I never lost my peace. That's what I do. In the midst of a pandemic and everything that's going on, like Mr. Charlie said, everybody's over it. We know it, but it's still here. What makes me more special than anybody else to react and act a fool because I'm going through something? It's the same concept of the mask. So what I did was today.
What's your order? Man, place your order.
10 pieces.
Just had the feeling when he pulled up. And stopped. Can I take your order?
Barbecue and sweet style.
You gotta watch how they treat you because they on TV right now.
Yeah. Right.
Thing was, see, that's another thing with life. Just because interruptions happen don't mean that we can change our actions. We have to keep being the same person that we were before the blurt comes in and all that. That was just a concept of, like he was saying, he had a rough day like everybody else do, but life still goes on, and I'm still here, and I'm grateful. That's Amen. About it.
Yeah, y'all, you're trying to dance around so you can keep your jobs at the end of the day. I understand.
Okay.
That's all right. I work for myself, so I thought I can say whatever I want about.
Well, just say it for me then. How about that?
Hey, we'll leave it at that. You've been through some stuff. You ain't making no excuses because you've been through stuff.
Yeah, it is.
You had to wait 2 hours because somebody wouldn't help you. You was stuck with something you tried to warn somebody about, and I had to come pick you up and wait on all that.
You didn't come pick me up. You saved me today. Because I was gonna be sitting up there. He was just dropping me off.
Yeah.
That would have been another stumbling block that I would have had to come across.
So, Markwell, what happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Man, just like you said, the people that make a lot of money, they just go with the do this and do that until such and such, but till whatever happens. And my last straw was I pulled out and the truck quit in my big work truck, and the 18-wheeler was looking dead at me. Like able to brake. And I've been telling you the truck been stopping all day, cutting off while I was sitting still, and never done it while I was driving. So when I pulled out into the intersection, it quit. So I had to wait. And
get you up.
Josh came and got me.
Yeah, when he called me, I could kind of tell. I was like, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting ready so I can come over there. Man, that dude had to come all the way from Yakna up to uptown, and I take him all the way up to Abbeville to go. They wouldn't even take him to go get his truck, man.
Damn.
Go get his own ride to go home, but
that's cold.
Whatever.
It's cold. But
what it is.
I'm okay. I'm good.
There you go.
And those McNuggets are gonna do you right, Markwell.
Hey, and I'm about to give me an energy drink.
Oh, what you getting?
I'm getting a rain tonight. I need a rain in my life.
A rain.
I don't want to bang. I don't want to. I'm already.
It touches a certain part of my brain that makes me feel good.
Yeah. I don't want to be too bang. I don't want to be too hype. So I'm just gonna give me a rain.
Yeah, it's the perfect. I don't know. I'm gonna tag them in this video because we gave them some free publicity. Maybe hey, sponsorships, man. You never know.
Hey, man, never know. I drink them every day. We wouldn't mind to have free, whatever flavor. And I'm a drink.
Man. We'll say a 2-second segment, something about rain, whatever. Total body fuel, orange dreamsicle.
Hey, we'll give them 7.
Good. It gives you energy at the same time. Something. But anyway,
we can come up with something.
I got a real quick, and we'll get into the show. I got something too that's happened to me. It wasn't today, but it was sort of towards the end of last week. I started a job. Been having about 4 or 5 jobs going on at the same time, and probably the busiest I've ever been. Can't complain, man. I'm not gonna complain because busy business, makes money, but it also comes with problems. So, I had a guy that I've hired on recently, been with me for, probably a week or two. I get a sense of, who he is, so I wouldn't just put him out anywhere. But long story short, he gets to the job, and the customer is calling me. She's got the little camera at the back door or whatever. Hey, can you meet me? And I was like, I don't. Okay, what's going on? So they kind of meet me ahead of whatever. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So long story short, she's saying, so-and-so is stealing from me. So I was like, no, I don't play with stealing. We need to get to the bottom of this. And really, it turned out he wasn't stealing. He had the same, equipment that she had on the premises and accidentally put it in his car. He was just moving around. He's a real busybody. And really trying. He's working for free that day. He's not even charging to work. I'm not charging her to fix, some stuff that and this job has gone on long enough anyway. So this is the last draw. I'm just trying to, it took me a whole day to finish that job. But so the lady's boyfriend is there and pulled, is upset about whatever, accusing him of stealing and all that. So long story short, a firearm gets pulled out. And yeah, so the whole time I'm behind in my vehicle, and I pull up and I see a firearm out, and I'm like, what is going on? I'm, praying under my breath, and I was like, God. And I called my dad so I could have a witness on the phone with me, if anything pops off, and nothing popped off. Literally nothing happened.
Yeah.
But I told my guy, I was like, man, just get in your car and go. He wasn't the one that pulled the gun.
Right.
And I was like, bro, just go, I'll handle finishing this job. And I'm like, oh my God, like I literally grew a gray hair the next day. I woke up and I'm like, what is this gray hair in my chin?
Yeah.
From that nonsense. I was like, man, and I deal with stress pretty well. But that right there, that pushed me ahead another year faster than I would like. But
yeah.
I dealt with it well. It's been squashed. All that stuff is over.
Yeah.
But it was something that I didn't expect that day. And I'm like, I kind of felt like you look right now with the hair, like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It was pretty crazy, man. But it's I don't know what's going on their end, but I got no hard feelings. I was like, man, but she was like, I hope there's no hard feelings, and it wasn't her that did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, lady, I'm moving on. I got to finish this job.
Right.
I learned how to move on from stuff. I don't dwell on things. I don't care how terrible it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hold grudges. I don't dwell on things. I was like, we dealt with that. I'm gonna finish the job and do it, to the best of my ability. I could have easily packed up my stuff and left. Like, I'm not gonna put up with this, but
and let the situation change your character. Sorry, just wanted to add that in there.
That's in so many words.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Because I talked to my dad and he was like, yeah, you need to go ahead and finish that, because at the end of the day, can't nobody say that you didn't do everything you should have done. And that's and people keeping their word, man. We've talked about this on a couple of shows, but just be a man of your word. Do what you say you're gonna do, and no matter what happens. And I could have easily left and wouldn't have been wrong, but I did what I did, and so I signed up to do something and I finished it.
Hey, that's why you need to be the future governor of Mississippi, man.
Oh man,
I moved back and
let me stop recording.
That house. Nah, man.
Bro, I've had so many people say that. I was like, please don't put that mantle on my head, because I don't. If God would have to come down from the heavens and sit next to me,
right,
and tell me this is what I'm supposed to do.
Hey, it's you or Jake McGraw, man.
me and Jake talked one day. It was a couple years ago. Edward Ashaw passed away.
Yeah, I was at the. Yeah, I saw you there.
Yeah. And Tim Burkhead is like, he's like, we're gonna put Josh and Jake on the next ballot. And
yeah. I was there for that conversation. Yeah.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you put your 2 cents in on that.
Dude, I mean,
you're probably the first signature on that.
I'll validate, I'll second it, but dude, you're a peacekeeper, and it's like,
I try to be, man.
Yeah, it's dude, I'm glad you're safe, number one, but also, man, just glad you got a job done, and
yeah, nobody got shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could have easily, my first instinct was like, where's mine?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, let's sort this out,
Give a heart style. Somebody's about to die.
But it all is well that ends well.
Yeah, it was just a joke. It was a joke. It's just how you see somebody about to get shot. Like, just right out there.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. But and no offense to the people involved, but I hope I never have to deal with it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Anyway, man, today we kind of almost like prefaced it a little bit when we talked about how we grew up in Oxford. Oxford is a very particular town. It's not your typical Mississippi town.
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like any place in the country, I believe. But
Agreed.
I like to get your perspective on, just what it's like, because you lived other places, and you're about to go to other places now. What it's like to be, a white guy from Mississippi going other places. And I'm sure
Yeah.
I've lived in other places. When I went to Colorado, when I was in Colorado for a little while, they're like, oh, you're from Mississippi?
Yeah.
It's that thing. Like they think it's, all like blazing crosses and rebel flags flying everywhere, which is half true.
Right.
After
You're not lying.
It's only half true, but it's speak a little bit about what Oxford was like when you were growing up, and what's your view of it today, because it has changed, but it's
Big
still the same,
time.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, real talk, real man.
Real talk, real man.
I'm excited to just answer honestly, and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I had a pretty unique upbringing. Oxford, I feel like for most of us, and I'm speaking as, a white straight male, I didn't have a hard time too much growing up in Oxford. Now, I grew up with ADHD, and I was one of
Makes
those
sense.
Ritalin kids, and shit, I got it recertified twice. But man, I had wasn't as unique, but I had a pretty decent childhood, and Oxford, to speak on it, just for the positives. I mean, I feel like, you said this is a particular town. It's a very unique town, not only for Mississippi, but the country. Is like, we had a lot of opportunities that, like, you throw a stone over in Calhoun County that those kids would never have.
Right.
Um, and I mean, just having access to the university, having access to Square Books, which is the most, it's ranked the best independent bookstore. And Richard Howarth just got through talking to Barack Obama on
Really?
Zoom. Did y'all see that?
Oh, I
Yes, yes.
missed that.
Check Bebe's Instagram. Like, I found out because Bebe posted about it. It's like,
Wow.
well, my dad just got through talking to President Obama for National Independent Bookstore Day.
Dang. Maybe I can
We
get on his schedule next.
Yeah, man, dude, I'd be another second round on the guesting, but uh, it was, to me, it was kind of that, looking back on it, it was fun. It was fun growing up in Oxford. Like, the Square is one of the most complete downtowns in Mississippi, and the South in general. I mean, for most of, you go from Greenwood over to Oxford. I mean,
Well,
it's
it's night and day.
absolutely. And when I was working over in the Mississippi Delta, there was that, hey, this is Mississippi, but I'm also from a place that's like positive. It's as positive. Oxford definitely is still a tough place to live
It's a
for
progressive Mississippi town,
it's a progressive Mississippi town, but it's,
relative, to the Delta and Jackson, and places
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And but still, Oxford still has its problems, and some
Indeed.
of them have gotten better over time, some of them have gotten progressively worse, and some of them have just stayed the same, with folks kind of like, like, I can't say what it's like, to grow up as a black man in Oxford as you and
Right.
Markwell can. That's why, and thank you for being specific with the questions and allowing me to figure out what to say. I it was one of those things where, I feel like I had a decent, upbringing, and there was this, with Oxford being progressive and having a very a event in the civil rights of history that, like, if we can open up the books and Coach Liddell's class. Coach Liddell, God, yeah. Anyways, God, what happened to all these creepy coaches, man? But y'all heard about Coach Liddell?
Not recently.
Oh, but you know why he got fired?
No, I probably could take a wild guess.
Oh, he was texting some high school cheerleaders.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that's kind of not because of Coach Liddell, but just because of a trend.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's like every Oxford high school coach. Like, anyways, Oxford, Mississippi.
Real man.
Real talk, real man.
No apologies.
Marquell's gone. He's like, I'm gonna take a McNugget break on this one.
Yeah, you can't make me roll the field anymore.
I'm glad you know what I'm doing.
I did. Look, when Josh was talking about his day, I knew you were demolishing at least half of the.
He's killing them McNuggets.
Yeah. But anyways, real talk, real man. Oxford was cool to grow up. I am proud to say I grew up in Oxford. Like, there's so much, like, in terms of like the best of Mississippi, like you really can highlight Oxford. Like we went to one of the best high schools, not only in the state, but in the country. Like, we went to one of the top 250 high schools. And when you think, 250, I'm like, no, like, do you know how many school districts there are?
Yeah, thousands and thousands. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I'm still around here, because I got kids.
Yeah.
Here, and it's very helpful not just to be in a good school district, but like we were talking about earlier, every school that my daughter has been to, I know somebody. Like,
right.
Coach Stone was assistant principal at one of the schools,
Mm-hmm.
and then she got some of the same teachers that we had are still around. So,
right.
And I got people, and Miss Fitz back then. Her name is Miss
Harrington.
Now,
Harrington.
Yeah, and she was the principal at Della when she was there. I think she's moving on to something else now. But
right.
But and then your mom is at the next school she's going to.
And she's been at Oxford for years.
It's a small town where a lot of people know each other. You got a lot of people blowing through and new people, but it's good to have those same, because with the kids nowadays, it's so important to have people looking out for them. My nephew is the resource officer at her school right now.
Yeah.
So it's how much more protection are you going to ask for somebody that has a special interest in watching over your kids? And it's so great to have that, man. I preach that to my wife and to my family all the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome to know, and that makes me feel good as someone from Oxford to know that, like, not all is lost, because I know we're ADHDing around, and but it's like, Oxford's growing a lot to where there's some things being lost, and I hope that sense of culture and community doesn't go away.
Yeah, it's still got some community feel, and I've kind of been thrusted into that.
Yeah.
When I ran for public office for some reason, and I've got people like, "Are you gonna run again? Are you gonna run again?" And I was talking to somebody today, and they're like, we got to sit down and talk about this master plan. Especially for the Black community, we've got to get some organization going on.
Yeah,
because it's not just because you got predominantly white all white on the supervisors and predominantly white on the aldermen. So it's like, you got to have some organization in the background to make sure stuff still gets done. And, they're doing whatever they're doing right now, and I keep up with it best I can, but it's still some progression needs to be made instead of regression.
Right. It's when you have a board of aldermen that has Dr. Donald Cole go up to them and say, this is what's wrong, and they can't recognize that having a Confederate statue is up. Brent Larson and all that gang need
But
to
they
go.
recognize it. They just, it's a greater power in the background that's forming all this stuff, that's still holding all this stuff over our heads. That's why everywhere we go, everybody's like, oh, you're from Mississippi. It's all that stuff that's still making this town go, even though on the outside we're like, oh, this is such a great town and all that, and it is, on the outside, but in the background I've learned a lot about stuff that's still going on that's making this town go.
Yeah, there's a little machine of old money and old outdated ideas that's dying out, and
yep, and I'm trying to slide right into it.
Yeah, and that they feel threatened because they have an outdated ideal that, like, oh, well, it's just all it's they think that it's if people of different colors and backgrounds and creeds and religions have a leadership, that everything's going to hell. And it's like, well, Mississippi, and let's look at it as like a government, like just a state government. Mississippi is predominantly white government led in like the Mississippi House and Senate.
Yeah,
and why are we always at the bottom?
Yeah,
and
top to bottom.
And there were things like growing up in Oxford that, I'm grateful that we went to a school like Oxford where we were taught to confront and I'm still learning for sure. And there are things that, like when we talk about systemic racism, acknowledging that it exists, and that, that I have
number one.
And there are things that if you, me, and Marquel walked into a room, there are different things that could happen that I don't realize. And I had a talk with a guy, a friend of mine, she's dating this guy, and he's from California, and so talking about Mississippi, and he kind of was like, well, he was more of an expert about Mississippi than I was, like, oh, well, everyone's, racist. And so it's just like every white person's racist and every black person in Mississippi is poor and can't do better for themselves.
The ignorance that plagues our country right now.
Yeah. And I was telling him, I said, we were talking about privilege and all this stuff. And I was like, well, white men, we need to sit back and listen, because we've talked a lot and we've been a little loud. And I was making, I was being specific while also making an analogy, and he took it in a way that basically said, like, no, it's not that. We don't have to do anything. And it's like, we shouldn't, I said, we should allow others to do more. And it's not even just allowing, it's sharing. It's simply just fucking, if we're all at a table, there's no head. There's you have the lazy Susan or whatever it's called. I don't know why Susan's lazy. Probably Crystal Burger. But everyone gets to share. And at some point everyone's like, you got the lazy Susan, you got the condiments, you got the main course, and then you have the dessert. At some point everyone's going to have in front of their seat,
each
and
of
maybe
pieces.
Yeah, maybe it's because I smoke weed and I think, in big analogies, but it's like, and again, I'm still learning. Like, there are a lot of things, like, definitely today, and again, I'm a white guy talking to. But I get paid.
Cool, man. Well, we need that perspective though, man, because just like black people talk, most black people are talking to other black people behind the scenes, and we were talking about this the other day, Steady, and white people were talking to most white people. Until we all sit down together with each other, nobody's gonna know what the other one's thinking.
Yeah.
You and I are friends.
Yeah.
you don't know exactly what I'm thinking or how I feel until we sit down and talk about, this particular situation that we encounter. This is what I'm thinking when I walk into this situation, and you're like, man, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that because you're not, and some of the stuff that I go through that goes through my mind is not the same thing that goes through Steady's mind, because we
Right.
actually talked about that when we first started this season, and he was like, "What is it like?" He asked me, "What was it like being growing up in Oxford as a black man?" And I gave my perspective as a mixed ethnicity person because I'm biracial, and it wasn't like a black person would go through because I was demonized by the black crowd and wanted to be accepted by both white and black. Because I grew up hanging around white people, exclusively.
Yeah.
And then when I got older, I was like, I wasn't accepted by the black crowd because of that, and I tried to jump over there and be accepted, and I got cast out because of, trouble. Got into trouble. So I went to myself and like, hey, what can I do to be not accepted by each other, but accept myself?
Right.
I had to look in the mirror, and that's what we all got to do nowadays is look in the mirror. Like, what can I do to make this situation better or make myself better too, and turn around and make everything else. And that's what this whole show is about, man.
Yeah.
You, Big Steady, Asian guys, I don't care who it is,
Yeah.
black, white, brown, purple, Republican, Democrat, gay, straight, Methodist, Baptist.
Yeah.
We all sit down and have these conversations.
Real men are real men, no matter what.
That's right.
What or who.
That's right. I think one of the things that I kind of wanted to get an understanding was of how, like you talked about the guy from California. When you go other places, how do people react when you say you're from Mississippi?
That's a really good question because part of my profession, I'm lucky to have done stand-up since 2018, and humor is a good way to go ahead and get the let me punch myself first so you don't do anything.
Right.
It's like a big thing I do because I work with a lot of people right now from California, and when people ask where I'm from, people think I sound like I'm from California all the time. And so when I say I'm from Mississippi, they're like, well, you don't sound like you're from Mississippi. And I'm like, okay, what? You're from California.
I get that too.
From Mississippi supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
Also, I did like a thesis on accents and stuff. And we'll get into that later. But anyways, what was I saying? It's when I introduce myself and I say I'm from Mississippi, if I don't hear an accent, number one, and that's something that I do, I listen for an accent. If I hear twang, I get more into my twang. And it doesn't matter who. If you're from the South, like I'm gonna speak to you in that, rhythm and vernacular.
Yep.
But if I see in your eyes that I say I'm from Mississippi and it starts to get like uncomfortable, and depending who I talk to too, I am more cognizant of telling a person of color that I'm from Mississippi than another white person, just because I don't want to be associated with, some of the folks who want Mississippi to stay a certain way,
The old Dick. Again type stuff.
Yeah. And kind of grew up, some of the community in Oxford grew up to raise us in a way of, hey, let's go forward and try to get together instead of keep this divisiveness. Anyways, but I always say, hey, I'm from Mississippi. I have all of my teeth. That is a quick joke to get in, but it's also like, I can say that, and also like this, I have a fake tooth. Do you remember Perry Roberts? across the street neighbor, and like he built a go-kart in like the 4th grade or 5th grade, and we were in Woodlawn. That's where I grew up, and we pushed this go-kart to the top of the hill. And I kind of used to be a chunker around the 5th grade, and a little bit, then football and 2 days and stuff. And so then it came down, and we pushed the go-kart down the hill. I was driving, and basically I swerved and smacked, and
there goes your tooth.
Yeah, and then I was at my grandpa's funeral Monday, and part of it just like falls out. So I super glued my tooth, which is some country shit, But here's the thing, like when I say, hey, I'm from Mississippi, I have all my teeth, that is disarming them. Does that allows me, that beats them to the punch.
You take the first shot at yourself.
Yeah, because I can. And but also like it's a sarcasm where I hope they understand that I'm joking, but also like I've been to places in Mississippi where people don't have their teeth, and elected officials too, and like podunk little towns, but it's
that ain't got nothing to do with Mississippi, but bad habits.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just man, all bad habits.
Yeah, but with that being said, how you poking fun at yourself and understanding how other people may think of you being from Mississippi, you kind of arm yourself knowing that something may happen. But do you carry a sense of pride around with you about Mississippi? What does that mean to you? I know you don't fly a freaking flag around.
No.
Maybe probably the new state flag, maybe.
Yeah, I've got one in my room, and
no kind of racial connotations associated with that.
I've got the Stennis flag tag on my car.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's a really good question. I do carry a lot of pride because like it's, man, and I, of course, I've thought about this question past couple of weeks, but it's
not a pride about the history,
right? No, not at all.
But a pride that you grew up the right way.
Yeah,
we talked about that at the beginning. We had a good upbringing. We had fortunate to have good parents that didn't teach those old South, the South shall rise again type stuff and old Dixie.
Right.
And we, or at least we made a conscious decision not to go down that line, because there are people that we went to school with that were like that. You wouldn't be able to tell. I had somebody tell me the other day, it's a white guy. He said this little town, Oxford, is the best in the world of masking racism.
Yeah.
And I never really thought of it that way, because it didn't show up to me until I ran for public office and I saw a lot of background stuff.
And did you get, if you don't mind me asking, did you get like hate mail or whatever that?
No, I didn't personally. I didn't have a bad experience. Nobody. You said what?
Nobody tell you what to do. I'm waiting for you to let me talk.
I can just hear something in the background. I thought you were talking. I'm waiting on my response. No, I didn't get any hate mail or anybody say, hey, N-word, don't run, get off the ballot and all that. Because I made it to the general election past 5 or 6 other contenders.
Yeah.
But there was one instance in particular where we went to this. It was supposed to be an open forum for candidates, mostly on the state level, at Johnny Morgan's shop. And a lot of people at this point like, why did you even go to that? And I'm not even thinking about Trump Jr. being there. I was like, oh well, that just
yeah.
it turned into an old fashioned, redneck Trump rally. And
My dad was cooking at it, and he didn't know he was going to be there, and he was kind of pissed.
You said who?
My dad cooked for it.
Oh yeah.
I saw he was going to be there. My dad was like, "Well, shit!" And Mr. Willie Hilliard, yeah, was
I
there.
saw all of them there. And
what happened, Johnny? What happened?
I'm getting there. So so we I show up and I'm not even paying attention to what's going on, really. Because I can feel the tension in the back of my head building up. My dad went with me, and me, him, and Robert Blackman is a previous the only black supervisors ever been.
I remember Mr. Robert.
Board supervisors, and he and I, we're probably amongst maybe one or two others that were the only people there besides people that work there of color. And I'm trying to campaign, and I'm talking to people that I know and don't know, and meeting state representatives and government and federal representatives and everything, and people that work in Washington and stuff. And I'm not even really thinking about that. And my dad he's bumping me. He's like, "Hey, you ready to go?" I was like, "Nah, man, I just got here. I'm cooking up. I'm trying to get more votes."
Yeah, you're politics.
And next thing I know, I'm looking up, and they're not really. I'll say the Republican candidates got good warm reception, and it built all the way up to Reeves, and the Democratic candidates, kind of got it was real flat, no clapping and kind of a straight boo every now and then. And when Trump Jr. got up there, I feel this like in the atmosphere. I can feel it. And I look up, I was like, what the frick am I doing? And people literally were they were gravitating towards, where he was talking. And I was like, oh man, yeah. And I was like, yeah, you ready to go? And now we're going. It's, it's not like, burning crosses and all that kind of stuff. It's not like the racism that you see on, Mississippi burning and all that. But it was something that I could feel.
Yeah.
I can't you can't really put it into words. And it just didn't feel good. And my dad had a really bad experience with a deputy when we left there. He had left and came back to get me because he didn't want to get blocked in. And one of the deputies was like really rude to him. And we ended up talking to Joey about it, Joey East. And he said, no, we're not gonna put up with that. But that was like the theme of that whole night. And that taught me a lot about Oxford. I saw people I know, I won't call names because I still have respect for some of those people, It's not like I lost respect for those people, but I learned. I'm like, okay, this is a thing. And it just kind of, it's a little microcosm of Trump's following. I don't want to get into Trump.
No, he doesn't deserve.
It just let me know that, there's something going on, behind the scenes. This is way before we're getting into the election tampering and the Capitol riots and all that. And it taught me a lot about it woke me up to some stuff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, man, I don't think I've ever shared
I'm
that
sorry.
before.
Yeah. Well,
real talk, real man, right, Steady?
Yeah. He's pointing at the camera.
Tell me what you think about that. You ain't said nothing in a minute. You ate your chicken McNuggets, and you got something to say.
Now I was just listening to, I was listening, I put my points in. When I put my points in, where the finger is pointed at. But two things I heard when he was talking about up here, how we can grow up here in Oxford when we're younger, we didn't really see a bunch of them. Mm-hmm. And like you said, we didn't really see it until we got, I ain't even gonna say older, when we got mature. Mm-hmm. What was really going on? Okay, I'll say this. When Trump was when they was talking about Trump being impeached, that's when I saw all those people in school that act like they loved me for my skin.
Yeah.
And then I saw how they really felt then. And I was like, man, like, Oxford High School made it so the environment was so love and unity.
Yeah.
That we miss, like, and that's okay that we miss
the bigger picture.
We missed the bigger picture, but I'm thankful that I didn't see it because I don't know how I would have took it immature, if that makes sense.
Right.
So Oxford is not as bad when you're talking to this black man because I was accepted by different races coming up. They didn't really I didn't get that black and white. But when I got older and we took the lid off, the cover off our eyes,
the blinders up.
It's been going on forever. But it took me to, because I was comfortable here. I had to get uncomfortable to see what was really going on. But I didn't change I almost did change my heart almost got changed because when I started doing security, that's when I started really getting race stuff thrown in me. I was like, this happening here?
And like at the lyric and stuff, or
anyway. Like calling me the N-word and boy, like
he's talking alcohol. About where you were doing security at. It's on the square. There's just anywhere.
Yeah, it's like on the square.
Yeah, on the square, and then this stuff started to trickle around everywhere I was going. Like I was seeing.
Well, you know, your eyes was open.
Yeah, but I got to say this because he brought up the statue. You ready for me? Yeah. Okay, he brought up the statue, and one thing that we've talked about in the past, you can take the statue down, but until people have a change in their heart,
that's right.
Heart never changes. Like you said, we can go to the table and have no head. That's cool. That sounds good. But what about the heart?
Right.
If the heart is never infiltrated with love,
that's it.
And my heart was, I grew up with a loving mother. Didn't have no father. So my mother put love in me. And she told people were going to be people, and people can't call me anything because they don't know who I am. Right. But I have to realize that I really can't be mad at this white person for calling me this, because instead of wondering why didn't I ever ask why they like that? We don't know what they were taught. And all of it is a strand of what every household is different. So everybody went home to
product of your environment.
Yes, I was trying to great analogy. Everybody goes home to eat supper, but I don't eat with you. My mama didn't cook what your mama cooked. So whatever was going on them plates, it was instilled in them, and then they just accidentally became their environment. And my environment just happened to be God all my life, but I still was wild. But that was my choice.
Hey, you did it well. I remember seeing you on the square a couple times. Look.
Not everybody knows Quail Man ENT. It's people that know. A lot of people don't know the transition of Mark Quail Man ENT and Steadfast. A lot of people don't know that, so they don't appreciate that.
It's okay though, because as long as I keep doing it for me,
that's right.
Somebody that believes it is still watching, so I got to keep on striving to do me. But I am not. This is not about me. I just spoke my piece on the topic, and I put this guys, and I really appreciate y'all. I really appreciate Charlie being open enough to really come on here and give us his perspective and not worry about what anybody gonna say and just be you. And see that right?
That's really what this show is about. And I was telling Charlie before you came on about how the last season was. It's supposed to be real talk with real men, but I feel like I was dancing around a lot of stuff, trying to feelings in my image that I built up. Man, and it's not about the image, it's about speaking the real, and people need to hear it. And no change is gonna be made by just dancing around a serious subject, because this stuff is serious, man. This is
Right.
not like, it's not like something that, oh, we're talking about groceries, where do they get groceries from or something. It's a serious stuff, this is people are
Yeah.
dying over stuff like this.
And we're from a place where you can look at the like James Meredith and like a key part of the civil rights movement. Like we come from a place where like it's been at its worst,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we don't want it to come back to where you can look at those photos of James Meredith walking into Ole Miss, and you can see some of our friends' grandparents, and like because they look like our friends yelling things, and it's and that was a short time ago.
Yeah. Well, relatively speaking, that was short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And anyways, I know I kind of might have got off subject, but and like
No,
more,
it's all on subject. The way
yeah,
we do things around here, we're organic, and I know you like organic.
yeah. Oh, dude, I like organic cheese for sure. And something, and man, I know Marquel. It was good to see him. I know he had to
Yeah,
head
I think
out.
he's gonna go record something now. He's got his motivational stuff. I think it looked like he was in the studio himself. So
Oh yeah, I'll let
I'm
him
trying to
let
build a
him get.
studio here. You can't see it, but I'm trying to
Yeah,
build a studio in here so we can do all the stuff we need to do in one
it,
place.
it
But
looks. Yeah, man. I like the. It looks sleek.
yeah,
You know.
it's just a black sheet.
Yeah, hey man, it's still sleek. Still sleek. But something like real I don't know how much time we have. Just let me know if you need to cut me off.
Man,
But like
I let it go as long as I wrap it up. When it's capped, and I feel like we're at the beginning of the cap.
okay, yeah.
We
I
have, we
some
have definitely talked about some good stuff, man, and that needs to be said.
yeah, and hopefully maybe next time I'm on we could continue on. But we barely scratched the surface, and
Oh, really?
I would, and I wish I could have thought about this earlier, but how much in the churches we grew up in. Because I mean, I am I would still consider myself a Christian, but to a point of my religion and my understanding of God is making sure that things are being taken care of here and not
Yep.
putting so much emphasis on the afterlife that I'm neglecting the
Yeah.
people around me, and
So you
and
gotta have
like
the right balance. I mean, you can't,
yeah,
it's different. Mine, yours, and steadfast. We call him Big Steady.
yeah, big
Hey,
steady,
but he his perspective on this is different from ours, because he has devoted his life to being Mr. Steadfast, and
yeah,
my lifestyle and your lifestyle not the same as he is, but we're all the greater good type thing. We're all like, we understand, we know we've got a relationship personally, which ain't got nothing to do with
yeah.
anybody else. So
No,
that's
you're right.
our business. We got our own relationship with, with the higher being, and that's a whole nother story.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I hear you. And
But
and I
but
think
I feel like everything that has said, we opened up like two or three different cans. We're talking. It could easily spin off into a series.
yeah.
I think, well, first of all, I would like to say, my story. I'm not trying to cover my tracks or anything, but a lot of people that were at that rally, I can tell you, a lot of those folks did vote for me.
Yeah.
A lot of folks did cross over the boundary of, red and blue to vote for the person, and that's what it needs to be about. And it's not this is not to be about politics, but it's about, because the reason that I got into it was for the people. And that's how we were raised. Look at the person, not red and blue, not black and white, the
That's
person.
your neighbor. That's your neighbor. That's
That's it.
your
That's your
fellow
brother.
custodian.
You and I, when we greet each other, we give each other a hug.
Yeah.
People weren't looking, we probably kiss each other on the cheek or something.
Like we're European, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But but that's how we grew up, and it needs to be more of that
Yeah.
in society, and it should start at home. We got to start. We can't just spread love across the world in a day. We got to
Yeah.
in settings like this, and I want to sit other people down that don't necessarily have the same perspective you had as a white man in Mississippi.
Right.
They may have, hey, I love Trump like God, and a lot of them people do. And I don't judge them for that, but at the same time, we're like, at the end of the day, it's about people. It's not about red and blue or black and white. And that's really what this conversation and what life in general is about.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It's one of the things I was going to bring up, and this is definitely a can of worms for next time, and definitely hopefully to be spoken with someone of a different perspective, but how much church, like, here's the thing, the Baptist church and what were the churches preaching about, like segregation and Jim Crow and slavery, and how much of that ideology, and this is a big can of worms. It's I've struggled with my faith big time when I found out that during lynchings in Mississippi, Baptist preachers, white Southern Baptist preachers, would lead a little prayer before the lynchings, then they'd have a potluck. Well,
I mean, racism, based on a lot of research that I've done and just hearing stories from my elders and stuff, it is the basis of racism, or the excuse for racism is purity in Christianity, which it trickles over into politics and Republican and all that. And I got a lot of close Republican friends that don't feel that same way.
No,
but it's like you said, that's a whole nother can of worms. And actually, funny thing, we say that next week I'm having on I won't call him a kid, but he is 18, running for mayor in Oxford, the black Brandon Pettis. I'm having him on next week, and I'll try to stay away from some of this stuff because he, I don't want to ruin his political career before he gets started. But I'll ask him a couple of uncomfortable questions because he needs to understand that, and he's a pretty smart kid from what I gather, but it's a different life, man. And it seems like the better we get, the worse we get sometimes.
That's
in this world. But my thing is stop the cycle. That's what I preach when it comes to around the board. With all this stuff, stop the cycle. I'm stopping it with my kids. I mean, it didn't even continue with me, but I'm teaching my kids things that they need to arm themselves with, to be children of color going on to in this next generation. And that's what everybody needs to do in their household. Start with yourself, and then your kids, and from then on, and slowly we'll chip away at that stigma and that, the whole, oh, you're from Mississippi? Yeah, but I got all my teeth.
Yeah. Oh man. And next time I'll have to talk more on, like, I have stand-up material about being from Mississippi.
I bet you do. I want to have stuff outside of the podcast. It's gonna be stuff. Informal kind of stuff where we're sitting around and chopping it up off camera and stuff, and because some people are not comfortable with talking. And it's real talk. If you can't come on my show and be yourself, you need to find that.
You're right.
I appreciate you, man, being on.
Anytime.
And I think it's the start of a beautiful thing, man. We already got a beautiful friendship, but it's gonna be a beautiful thing continuing on from here, man. But I really appreciate you, man. If you give me one last word and we'll close this thing out. Speak to the people that are watching right now.
Oh yeah, hey, people that are watching. I forgot y'all were watching.
I forgot.
I forgot. Oh man, I hope I didn't pick my nose. I am grateful to have you as a friend, Josh, and going back to it, like, I am proud to be from Mississippi because we are always underestimated, and I'm glad that we can recognize that we're, Mississippi will eventually, I believe in the power and the good of Mississippi, I guess. And we share that. As someone who may look different than I do, we still share. We are both Mississippians. Wherever I go, wherever I live, wherever you go, wherever you live, people we grew up with of different backgrounds and races and religions, like they're Mississippians too. And what I hope we get to share in the growth of be doing better and getting out of last place of everything. And
place.
And yeah, man. And also, dude, you were one of the most underrated wide receivers at Oxford High School.
Man,
I've ever seen.
I don't know about that, man. I did successfully walk on to an SEC program twice.
You did it, man. You did it.
Two different positions, that one that I've never played before, and that's another story.
Dude, I hope to be around for it.
And I appreciate you being a friend as well. I feel the same way, and I'm glad to, we can walk around in public and hold hands and not, we're not boyfriends. It's just my brother, man. What do you mean?
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Kind of like Remember the Titans. You can't tell the resemblance.
Oh yeah, old Sunshine, and oh yeah, this is my brother.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, we watched that before every football game.
Yeah, man.
Rather Rudy. Oh, there's my roommate. Yo.
What's up, hey, roommate?
I'm wrapping up a podcast. Chuck, Charlie, good to meet you, man. Cheers. Well, hey, dude.
He missed a good treat. Well, he can watch it when I post it in the next day or so.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, I'm gonna sign off. We're gonna have continue this conversation later, and we'll bring some other people around the Lazy Susan and spin the wheel.
Awesome. All right.
Love you, man.
Love you too, buddy.
Saying, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and always keep it real.
Go Chargers. Okay.